Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. This is Jennifer, and today we are changing it up. Guest is Raquel.
Hello!
And Raquel is going to walk us through something that has been going on in her life for a little while. She's going to tell us her process. Welcome to the podcast, Raquel.
Why, thank you so much for having me. Tis an honor. We are going to talk about the fact that just a couple weeks ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD. I am 54 years old, and I'm just now learning that I have ADHD. Chances are I probably had ADHD as a kid, but just didn't realize it. And I don't think my family realized it, or if they did, they didn't say anything to me about it. The reason why I decided to get evaluated is because, well, first, I really would not have even entertained the thought of having ADHD had we not had guests on the show who had said, oh, I'm neurodivergent. Oh, I have ADHD. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Because and for those people to say, I was diagnosed as an adult and this is what made me think of it, like that kind of thing. Like that never, without the conversations with them, it wouldn't have even been a thought in my head.
When those guests were on and they talked about it, what was it that resonated with you that said, oh, maybe I have that too?
Just little things like, well, first off, the possibility that you could be diagnosed as an adult. Like, I didn't even think that was a possibility. I thought it was only kids. And I thought it, for a long time, like most people, I thought it was just like little boys.
Little boys that can't sit still.
That are running around like crazy, can't sit still, can't stop fidgeting, like that kind of thing. So that's what I pictured in my head. And so for these women to say, I have it, I was diagnosed as an adult, it's misdiagnosed in women, it's often missed completely in women, that kind of thing, that made me start thinking about it. But so I started a new job in May, and I love the firm that I work with. It's a collection of people that I adore. They are smart, they are compassionate, they are welcoming, just amazing people, and we do great work. And I felt so lucky to be at this job. And I know you don't like to think about luck, but I really felt like I am so lucky to be in this job because we've talked about this before. I have had a lifetime of bad bosses and bad jobs. And I have always, like at every single job, I'm always afraid I'm going to get fired. Every single job. Because I have had jobs where I've been fired for, like, just because a boss decided, meh, it's Raquel's time to go. Right? Like literally just on a whim. And I was like making like really careless mistakes at this job. Like I was like, this is stupid. Why am I making that mistake? Why did I answer that way? Like, this doesn't even make sense. Like, that doesn't even correlate to the question. Like, what the hell? I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And I was like, it's more than just workplace PTSD. It's more than just having a series of bad bosses. I was like, something is fucking wrong. And I was like, it's me. Something is wrong with me. And I need to figure out what the fuck it is because I don't want to lose this job because I love these people and I love this job and I want to make these people proud of me and I want to do a good job for these people, right? And for myself.
Is this the first job you felt that, not the love, but you felt like, oh, I made a stupid mistake. I answered a question wrong. I did something in the wrong order. Is this the first job you felt that at, or have you felt this prior in your life?
I felt it before, but it didn't click that maybe there was something else wrong. I don't think I've experienced it to the level that I experienced it with this job. Like I was like, whoa, this is just, man, this is nuts. Like this is off the charts, even from like, and this was my thought, even for me, I'm making stupid mistakes. I was like, this is off the charts.
And did your boss think you were making stupid mistakes?
My boss just thought that I was just nervous. He goes, I don't think there's anything wrong, but I think you're just nervous. But if there is something, then fine. Do what you need to do so that you feel better. He said, but I think maybe you're just nervous. And he goes, I think that's just it. One of the other people that I work with said, hey, maybe just, and like people would make suggestions like try this or try that or try making a list or try making steps, like take better notes when we're telling you what to do, like that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, thanks. But it wasn't connecting. And I was like, something is wrong. Something is wrong. This feels bigger than what I've felt before about I'm making a careless mistake. I mentioned to my therapist, because as you all know, I had been in therapy off and on since college, mostly on,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes off, but mostly on. And I've been with my current therapist for probably more than 10 years. And I said, hey, I think I want to get evaluated for ADHD or something. I said, but something, this is what's going on. I'm making crazy, like really stupid mistakes at work, very careless. And I feel like things just aren't clicking right, And I go, I'm not stupid. I go, I don't think that's it. I don't think it's that I lack the ability to understand. I think it's just something's not connecting. I asked her for a couple of recommendations for where to go get tested. Oh, and before that, I had taken a couple of like online things, like self eval kind of quizzes. Those were
Oh,
like,
so it was
you could have, but I was like, I want an actual clinical diagnosis. Like I need to know. And it's a good thing I did because I went, it was almost 4 hours of testing in like
wow.
one sitting. It was like different kinds of tests, like things on the computer, things with like blocks making shapes, things with looking at pictures and telling a story about what the picture meant. Like just lots of different things, right?
And how did you feel during the testing?
Um, I was fine. I was fine. Like I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. It was more of I'm here to just find out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing what they're telling me to do. I'm following the directions because I'm a good girl. That's what I do. I follow directions, and I was the good kid in school, and I got the good grades, and blah blah. So I'm doing what I do. I'm following
Hmm.
instructions.
You made me think of a question that I forgot real quick,
Sure,
and then I want to pick up with the testing.
sure.
Like little boys with ADHD in school, as a little girl, did you have problems sitting still and paying attention and all of that?
No, no, I did not, and that's often the case with little girls with ADHD. From what I've read so far, and I am not an expert, people. So if anybody, this is my journey. I'm still processing. This is very early for me. So if anybody listening to this, if you think you might have ADHD or someone do your own research, right? Do get your own testing, do whatever. This is just my journey. But from what I've read so far, people who are diagnosed in adulthood more than likely had ADHD as children, but were not diagnosed. And so
Okay.
it's missed quite often in girls. and even more so missed in adult women. And there's so many other things that people like attribute things to, like depression, anxiety, whatever, a whole list of stress, whole list of other things, right? I was quote unquote gifted. That's what they called the really smart kids when you and I were little kids, called us gifted. In that I was in all of the accelerated classes, literally from beginning of school to the end, was always in accelerated classes. They probably didn't think, oh, well, she's got ADHD because I
Hmm.
always got really
Hmm.
great grades, and I never missed turning in assignments and that kind of stuff. So it was, and there's a phrase for kids who are gifted who also have ADHD is called twice exceptional. I believe that's the phrase
Oh,
for it. Yeah,
cool.
and so, yeah, so it gets missed, right? So there's another reason why it gets missed. Plus, being a Black woman, growing up, nobody wants to put a label on their kid, right? And they specifically in minority communities, you don't want to put a label on a kid because that's going to hold the kid back, right? Nobody in my family has gone to therapy. Like, I mean, it's me. Well, now as adults, a couple, sure, but generally back then, nobody was going to therapy for anything. A
So
host of
explain that a
reasons.
little bit.
What do you mean? Which part?
So you said nobody wants to put a label on their kids, specifically minorities.
Ah, okay. So if if I had been labeled ADHD, it would have been instead of, you know, just focusing on the gifted part, or if the gifted part weren't there, if I were just like a regular kid who just happened to be smart, just regular smart, then the ADHD label would have been the only thing people would have held on to. And there would have been uh the tendency to be like, oh, well, she's going to need more time on tests and she's going to need, more of this and more blah, blah, blah. So we need to hold her back. She needs more. It would have been a lot of that.
So ADHD is seen as something that's wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma with
Got
it.
it.
I mean, yeah. And to be perfectly honest, though, I really don't think, and I'm putting words into my mom's mouth, but I really honestly don't think my mom or my aunts even thought to have me tested for ADHD because, like I said,
No,
I was in all the gifted courses. So, and I never got in trouble at school. I mean, yeah, they said I talked a lot, but whatever.
me too.
Exactly.
Okay,
But I
so
was always able to focus on school.
then is this new job that you got, is this then the catalyst? Is this when it started to become a problem for you? Or were there things somewhere between that childhood and that job that were problems, but you just didn't know why?
Yes, yes, there were problems between childhood and this job, but I didn't know what it was. I thought it was okay, which isn't to say I didn't have bad bosses because those did exist. That this is not
Got it.
negating
Got it.
any of that. Any of that. What it's bringing into focus is that there were also things that mistakes that I was making or things that I wasn't catching because of the ADHD. Like I would miss something like a correction that needed to be made, or I would start working on a project and I get focused on one part of it and think, oh yeah, I'm on the right track, I'm on the right track, I'm on the right track, and then get done, or what I thought was done, and go, here you go. And my boss would be like, that's not at all what I wanted you to do. And I'm like, but you
So like a
said,
so like a hyper focus on one part of a bigger picture.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And instead of just going, okay, this is really what I wanted you to focus on. Like, I don't know. I learned sort of to compensate by going, kind of stopping myself early on and going to my boss and going, okay, this is what I'm doing. Is this right? Is this where I need to be focusing? And they'd go, nope, go over here. And then I'd be like, oh, okay. So I had to start building in checkpoints for myself. Like I need to be sure to make sure this is what I'm supposed to be doing, or to repeat back to them, okay, I think I hear this is what you want me to do. Is this correct? Please correct me where I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Like I had to start doing that too. But the thing was, is I wasn't consistent with doing it because every boss would be different. And so every situation was like, I'm starting new all over again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
like that the habits didn't have a chance to stick.
and I'm sure that some of the bad bosses didn't respond well. Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
didn't, yeah, they didn't give good feedback. Good feedback is hard to
Yeah.
come by. Yeah.
Yes, that is part of it as well. Yeah.
Okay. Flashback to the testing.
Okay.
You've decided something's wrong. And by the way, nothing is wrong with you, but you've
Thank you.
decided something's not working the way you'd like it to.
Yeah.
You're back, you're in the testing. It's 4 hours. You're doing all these things. You're feeling okay in the testing.
Mhm.
Then what?
Mhm. Oh, and then part of the testing is is also like me filling out some stuff. So like quote unquote self-reporting. And then
Yeah.
there's also a part of it that a person who knows me well, who sees me often, fills out like a peer report. And I didn't see the thing. It was like they literally just turn it in directly to the counselor who's doing all of the testing. And so all of that gets culled together and examined and all that. And I get the results back, and it says that I have mild ADHD. I start like looking things up on YouTube and watching videos and looking,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and looking
Down the rabbit hole.
down the rabbit hole. And I'm like, okay, I want to understand this more, right? Learning all this stuff and then looking back over my life, there's a lot of stuff that starts to make sense. Like the fact that I'm not professionally where I thought I would be at this stage of the game. The fact that money continues to be a problem,
Mhm.
or my handling or mishandling or understanding or whatever of money like continues to be a problem. My executive function, right? So decision making, impulse control, task initiation, all of those things are affected.
This is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Looking back, it's like if I had known these things, how different would my life have been? A lot of the struggles that I've had maybe would not have existed or would have been far less. I was at a gathering of a bunch of friends. It's a thing that we do every year around the holidays. It was like after, toward the end, everybody's kind of winding down and they're like, so, what's been going on, blah, blah, blah. And I say, hey, I literally just a few days ago got diagnosed with ADHD. One of my friends says, oh, I knew that. And I'm like, and I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, just you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean just me? What did I do? She goes, well, just being you. And I'm like, I don't understand what that means. Can you give me some specifics? No specifics, none. And this is somebody who worked her entire career in elementary education. So she has seen ADHD in lots of kids. And she herself is diagnosed. She was diagnosed as a kid. So she knows
And
what all
she
this looks
wouldn't
like.
give you
Nope,
any.
nope. And I said, well, how long have you realized this? And she goes, well, always. I go, well, then why didn't you tell me? She goes, well, you don't just tell people that. And I'm like, we are not just people. I've known you for more than a decade, closer to 15 years. I've known you. I'm not just, you don't just tell people. I am what I thought was like family, right? Like friend family. I'm still processing that. But needless to say, I now realize after having thought about this for a couple weeks that I'm really pissed and my feelings are hurt. I'm really upset because this is somebody who has seen the struggles that I've had over the last 12 years and could have said something like, hey,
What
Raquel,
would
what?
you?
Oh,
You're
well,
about to do
like,
it.
yeah, like, hey, I know you're having issues with blah, 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 blah. I see this kind of thing in my students, or I personally have ADHD. maybe just go get evaluated. It could help you learn coping skills. No, that conversation never happened. Never apparently even entered her head to say that to me over the 15 years that we've known each other.
Well, you don't know that. It could have entered her head, and she.
Well, but
I mean,
still, nothing was said. So, and
right.
I'm processing. I'm not saying I will be pissed forever, but right now I'm upset. My feelings are hurt. I'm angry that nothing was said, and I'm angry with my therapist, the therapist that I've been working with for 10 years. Never, ever. And if somebody's going to say something, it damn well should be my therapist.
Well, do you think that she suspected you had ADHD, your therapist?
If she didn't, she should have, because I'm not her only patient who has ADHD and was diagnosed as an adult. She hasn't said as much to me.
I would have never taught Raquel ADHD.
Apparently, some people did.
I mean,
decided not to tell me.
There's so much misinformation about what ADHD actually is. I do know someone who really hates boxes and labels and has said to me, why would you want to label yourself that? Why would you want that box? Why would you want to have to live up to all those stereotypes? I'm very curious about your answer. Why would you want to go back to your childhood when people didn't want to put labels on their kids? Why would you want that label?
Because I don't see it as a moral failing to have ADHD. But what I would thank you. What I'm looking for, and you and I have said this before on the podcast, like we've said it from the beginning. We want better coping skills. Things that we didn't learn as kids, whether it's emotional regulation or being diagnosed as an adult with ADHD. We all want better. Well, maybe some people may not want better coping skills, whatever. Those people are on their own. But for most of us,
you're cast out and you're on your own.
Cast out. You're on your own. But for those of us who don't want to struggle so much, we want to figure out better ways to go through life. And that's what I'm looking for.
Okay, so you got the report back. You went down the rabbit holes. You found out information for yourself. You talked to some friends. Then what happens next? Does the doctor call you, or do you talk to the doctor?
Yeah. Well, they sent me the report, and I, read over it, and it is many, many pages long. It is many pages.
And what stood out to you in the report, and what were your thoughts of the report?
One thing that stood out to me is that in the report, it said something about she looks around the room a lot when she's talking, and something. I'm like, that's called being normal and just not like staring somebody down as you're talking to them. I mean, my God. And like, fine, whatever, blah. So I was a little bit perturbed at that. And then there was another thing. Oh, what was it? Oh, that sometimes I talk over people. And I'm like, no, that's just normal conversation. I don't think I'm that bad at talking over people. So I've gotten a little self-conscious about it now.
Well, I think that okay, first of all, I've never noticed either one of those two things. We talk on the podcast every week and you don't talk over me. If anything, I think I interrupt you quite a bit. So, but then again, I think I have ADHD too. So
it's okay.
Okay, so you read those things. What did that feel like?
Some of it felt affirming, and like it felt like a relief. Like, okay, now I know. Now I know how to proceed going forward. Like I can't fix the shit in the past. I can't, as annoyed as I might be, but I can move forward from here. Right? I can learn what I need to learn so that I can move forward from here. Now I know the right questions to ask. Now I know the right things to look for. And by look for, I mean like now I know the right processes to look for, to put in place. And I know if these things don't work, then I can try I can try something else. Like I can it isn't like there's this one approach and that's it. Right?
You
Like
got all that from the report?
no, I think that was from the report and from
Traveling down that
the
rabbit hole?
traveling down that rabbit hole. Yeah, yeah. I think the report also pointed out things that I didn't realize were part of ADHD, like the whole thing about money and handling
Mm,
money.
mhm.
Because I thought, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, I really just thought that I was just a loser and I was just always going to need help. I mean, to be perfectly honest. Um,
You actually thought you were a loser around money?
I thought I was a loser around a lot of things. Money, not being professionally successful, not being, where I thought I was supposed to be in life at this point, where my other friends are in their lives, and I should be where they are, like all of the comparison, all of
Mhm.
the comparison.
Is
Uh,
comparison a ADHD thing?
mhm,
That's
mhm.
interesting.
Yep, and negative self-talk is part of it too. And
Interesting.
it's funny because I didn't grow up with people putting me down ever. My family's never put me down at all. My mom is my biggest cheerleader. I always wondered why do I feel like I'm a big loser about shit? Like why do I feel like why is my self-talk so bad? I mean, yes, part of it is being a woman in America and like
Mhm.
some of that is
Yeah,
part of it, but
yeah, clearly.
some of it is also that that can be part of ADHD. And everybody's version of ADHD is going to be slightly different, but there are some commonalities, right? And so those are just some of them. And it's helping me to understand that that's what this is. It isn't me. It's my brain functions a certain way and there are things that I can do to help my brain function better.
Mhm.
And I'm in the very beginning of learning how to put those things into place.
And then the next step was you met with the doctor.
Mhm, mhm. Met with the doctor and we talked everything over. Basically, I mean, the appointment to meet with the
Was
doctor
your
to
doctor
go
male or female?
female, female,
Okay.
yeah. So basically, I mean, the talk afterward was very it was almost anticlimactic because I had already read the
Really?
report. Yeah, a little bit, a little bit.
Did she go over every little point on the report with you?
No, no, no.
Hmm, interesting.
She asked if I had any questions. I had a couple.
What were your questions?
Well, I wanted to talk about the thing about me looking around the room.
And what did
And
she say to that?
she's like, that's normal. And I'm like, oh, okay. I go, because it was worded a certain way in the thing that made me feel like I was just like, there was something wrong with me.
I mean, I notice myself doing that sometimes when I get uninterested in the conversation. I'll start notice. So maybe that's part of it, right? Maybe
Maybe, maybe. But I think it's also partly that I'm thinking. Do you know what I
so
mean?
you look
Like I'm
away as you're
searching for a
thinking.
word or I'm trying to form my sentence or whatever. Part of me thinks that maybe that's a learned response because part of ADHD is impulse control or lack of impulse control. Like sometimes people just blurt shit out. And I know that I have had to like control my mouth. And so I
Hmm.
think me doing that is like, okay, think about what you're going to say before you say it so you don't say anything wrong.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So impulse control,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
huh?
Oh, and here's the thing that was just it seemed so weird to me is that my verbal abilities and awareness and everything are like off the charts, like super high,
Because you're a
awesome.
podcaster.
Because I'm a podcaster, like those are great. Like I am just brilliant.
Uh
But
huh.
then when it came to like spatial awareness, that was kind of low. And I was like, what the fuck's that mean? you
What
know?
does that mean?
Well, basically, and I'm starting to realize this, like, looking all this stuff. I'm like, and literally as a kid, I was always walking into shit. Always. Walking into the corner of the coffee table, walking into the edge of the door jamb, hitting my arm on something to walk past shit all the time. I'm like, I'm just clumsy. No, 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 no. That's also part of it. What?
I can really, really relate to that one.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no idea. None.
Yeah. I still do that to this day.
Yeah, I do too, all
We'll
the time.
walk right into the door. It'll be shut. I'll walk right into it.
I walk into the door jamb
I'm
all the
not
time.
paying attention. So
It's
it's
weird.
spatial awareness, huh?
Mhm.
And what
Mhm.
did the doc say about that one specifically?
Uh, she goes, "That's just part of it." She said, "It's
Mhm.
not it doesn't mean that you're not capable as a human being." She goes, "It doesn't mean that you're any less smart. That's just a part of the diagnosis." And I was like, "Oh,
Interesting.
okay." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay, then what did she do? Did she tell you, like you said you were mild ADHD? Did
Yeah.
she say what that meant? What does mild mean?
It just there's a continuum for ADHD. From there's mild to severe, and I'm on the mild side. I would think that if it were severe, maybe like my ability to function would be very much impaired. I mean, I do still function, and by my definition, I think that I'm successful. I mean, yes, I would like to achieve more things, and yes, I would like some things to be different, but as a human being, I feel that I am successful. I am a good human with a good heart. I feel in that way I am successful. Yeah, so it's just that I'm just on that end of the continuum as far as the symptoms that or the tendencies that I exhibit. Another thing that I asked her was, how do I move forward? Like, how do I know what I need to do? And she provided a list of resources like books, podcasts, websites, a bunch of stuff. One of the books that was on the list I'm reading right now, it's by Russell Barkley, who is like an expert in the field of adult ADHD. And then there's websites that I've been going to, that kind of thing. But then I also asked her, I was like, are there coaches or like anybody, like what can I go? I have a therapist. Where do I go from here? And so I shared my results with my therapist. So by the next time I meet with her, she will hopefully have read the report. And she has said that she has other clients who have ADHD, so she'll be able to work with me. Although I'm still a little miffed about that, because if she has other clients who have ADHD, why the hell didn't she like diagnose it in me? Or even
Maybe
tell anyway.
she missed the signs.
Well, sure, sure, but you know what? That's her job. So I'm a little miffed. I'm a little miffed.
I see you're not giving on this one at all.
Yeah, not yet, not yet. I might give on it later, but
Okay.
right now
Okay.
I'm at the beginning of my processing. Yeah,
I think she's a therapist, but generally people I don't I shouldn't say that. I don't know that. When I think of ADHD, and I'm going to take myself out of this because I don't see myself this way, but I see people generally not being successful, not making it to work on time, not getting their car started, not getting down the road, not getting
hmm
like just having a mess everywhere or whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and she I don't know, I'm making
Well,
excuses. She didn't
see,
see you in that light.
no, see. Okay, so like I have been at jobs where I've been late all the damn time, all the damn time. The one thing about my current job is it's only a mile and a half away, so that helps. And I've been doing the whole thing of like getting up earlier, allowing myself more time, because I know one of the things with me,
So
and I think this,
is being late an actual
yeah,
symptom of ADHD?
mhm, because it's called
Oh,
time blindness. Because
oh,
you're
time
just like,
blindness.
oh, I've got time, and you're like, oh shit, no, I don't, and then Like, yeah.
So for me, the way that works is if I say on a schedule, if I have a job and I get up at a certain time and I do the same thing every day, then I make it to work. But if I happen to wake up early and I had extra time, then I would end up at work late because I would do other stuff and I would get off my
Hmm.
schedule. But as
Yep.
long as I stuck to my schedule,
Hmm.
I would always make it to work on time. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's time blindness or not.
No, it is. It is. It is. It is. Because, like I said, I mean, these things like all present slightly different in different
Hmm.
people. But yes,
Hmm.
that is one way that it can show up. Is where I was talking about before, like with transitions, like, and I've always known this about myself, but I didn't know why. Like, I used to have a job where I'd come through the door and there was the receptionist. I'd come through the door and she would be like, and then and blah, and you need to do and blah, and I'd be like, can I please just can I put my stuff down? Can I just put my can I at least like start my computer? Like just give me a minute. I need transitions into things, right? Like
Hmm. Me too.
let me ease into my day. Let me ease into work. Let me have my transition time, right? I going from one thing to the other just abrupt like that. It's a little stress inducing for me, right? And I didn't realize, but that's part of ADHD as
Hmm.
well. The whole thing about rigid thinking, like when we were talking about Raina's book Align to Align, and I was like, of course you have to go day 1 to day 21. You're not that it's just that's the way I think of it. It's rigid thinking. Yeah, there's one there, right there. There's one.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, okay, well shit. Oh, and another way that it can manifest is disorder. Disorder everywhere. Like it has taken. I've been in my apartment for almost 2 years. It's been a year and a half. Well, yeah, I know. Same. Looking through the fingers. It is taking me all this time to get to where like what y'all see the good stuff, right? Like even what y'all can see. Like if you look at some old episodes, you'll see like there's boxes and shit. That that was a long time that those boxes were there. And I still have shit that I'm like, oh God, thank God for closets. Oh, I'm just gonna shove that shit in that, And
I
there was
do
a friend
know.
of yeah, and there was a friend of mine who came to help me get organized when I first moved in here because I was like, I've done everything I can do. I don't know what else to do. I don't know where to put anything. Oh, and I literally was just like, I mean, I was just spinning like a top. Like I was like, I don't know what else to do. And she literally walked in and was like, move this over here. We're gonna do this and move that and blah blah. And I was like, I have no idea what you just did. How do you even see all that? I can't see it because my brain doesn't work that way. That's part of it. Like I said, thank God for closets. You just shove a shit in the closet and close the door. Like, thank you, Jesus. And I like a tidy place. I like tidy spaces because if it's too much, that's and oh my God. And I've talked to my therapist about this, and we've talked about this for years. That like my space is an outward manifestation of what's going on in my head. If my space is a mess, something's like swirling around in my head. And by the same token, if I'm good, but I go into a space that's chaotic, I need some order placed in it because otherwise it's just gonna fuck with me. All of that is part of ADHD. And I did not realize any of that. I thought I was just like again, I thought it was some sort of moral failing. I thought I was just anal about some things, but not anal about others. I thought I was just inconsistent. I thought, but inconsistent as in, oh my God, I'm a loser. Like I thought it was all a moral failing on my part. I thought I was just not good enough.
So the diagnosis actually is validating. It brings relief. It lets you
Yep.
know why.
Hmm.
Do you have
Hmm.
any fear that the diagnosis will hold you back?
No, no, no. In fact, that never even occurred to me. The fear that I have is that what if I can't get the right systems in place? But that's not even a
Okay.
big fear because if something doesn't work, I'll try something else, right?
Mhm.
The biggest fear for me was before the diagnosis because I was literally I was um I was thinking that this was it for me. That my life would not get better, that I would not achieve more than just what I have now. And I'm not saying that my life is awful, it's not, but I want more for my life.
Mhm.
And I was starting to think that that was not going to be possible for me because I thought that I was broken and that there was something wrong with me.
And now that you have a diagnosis, you know that you're not broken and something is
Right.
not wrong with you.
Right. I just need to figure out how to work with my brain the way that it is.
Does your doctor do anything else with you, or is it just the diagnosis and now you move on to other resources?
The doctor that did the evaluation, it's just the evaluation. I mean, I could probably, well, I don't know. I think if I wanted to go to her for more specific therapy, I probably could. But because I already have a therapist, I will be working with her. I have looked into a little bit of getting an ADHD coach, but that shit is expensive.
Hmm.
So I'm I'm gonna utilize the resources I have right now, which is this book that I'm reading and going to YouTube and the ADD websites and all that shit and using my therapist. And then if I also decide I need medication, I'll consider that. Like I'm not anti-medication. I've been medicated literally off and on since my 20s for depression and anxiety. I'm fine with putting another medication in the mix if I have to.
Do you think that your depression and anxiety is ADHD, or do you think these are separate issues?
I think they're connected. I do think some of my depression comes from childhood and family issues. So some of the depression would have been there regardless. But I do think, yeah, some of it, I think it is still tied in with ADHD to some extent. But the depression itself would have been there regardless because of past experiences. So
And do you find YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the people who have ADHD who are making small videos and clips, do you find those helpful?
I do. I do. For instance, there is a woman named Elise Fulmore on Instagram who talks about ADHD and finances. Listening to her and watching her videos has been helpful. I do want to get her book when it comes out. There's a woman on YouTube. I think her name is no, Tracy somebody. I can't remember her name, but she's a therapist and she makes content on YouTube. And I really like listening to her because first off, she's a therapist, so she knows what she's talking about, and she's very matter of fact and like this can be a symptom of ADHD, and this is how it can be approached, and blah blah blah. And also, she puts out content for people who are in relationship with people with ADHD, like this is what you
Mm.
should know. So that's been very helpful, and it's helpful for me to see other people who are putting out this information because it's like, oh, these people are doing this. They're putting out this information. They they're successful. They're existing in the world and functioning, and this is how they're doing it. Oh, okay. A, I'm not the only one. B, there are ways to exist fully with ADHD, right? Like it doesn't have to be something that holds me back. So there's hope for me. Yeah. So, oh, that was another thing. that was in my evaluation. Is the lady said that the report said that sometimes I laugh inappropriately, and I'm like, what? I'm like, that's crazy. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I do.
What
I
did
don't
your
know.
doc say? Did she say anything about that?
I haven't. My doctor hasn't gone over the report yet, so or maybe she has. We just haven't met since she's gone over the report. So I don't
Uh,
know. I want to talk to. I do want to exactly. I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah.
again,
Sometimes I
I have,
laugh inappropriately, but so do other people.
it's interesting because when my daughter was really young, she her teacher would get after her about something and she would laugh. And this was one of the only real conflicts that I ever had with a school teacher. She thought my daughter was being like insubordinate or malicious because she laughed,
Or
but
disrespectful.
or disrespectful. But every single time my daughter felt like she was being admonished for something, she would giggle. It was
Mm-hmm.
just her response to it. And then, that was usually followed by tears of some sort of like her just being devastated that she disappointed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have those types of physical reactions. I also think that daughter has ADHD. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Oh,
may
and
be,
oh, go ahead.
go
Sorry.
ahead. I was just going to say it may be a response that some people would think is not correct, but it just may be the way that her brain works or your brain works or my brain works. And for me, that's all it means to me is that there's the, I don't even know what you call it. There's the neurodivergent brain, there's the regular brain. In neurodivergent and regular, there's lots of variation within that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just about learning, oh, this is how my brain works. And this is what I need to do to move forward with that. That's why I actually think the label is empowering.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I actually think it is. And I don't think anyone who has a diagnosis of ADHD that there's something wrong with that person. It just means their brain works in a certain way
Yeah.
and that we can work with that in a
Yeah.
different way than people whose brains don't work in that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
I like the diagnosis. Maybe I'll go get diagnosed. I probably won't. I'm lazy.
Doesn't. I
Probably
mean,
part
it
of my
doesn't hurt.
ADHD.
Yeah, but you know what? So that's one point I wanted to bring up because thankfully my insurance covers the evaluation.
Right.
So all I had to do was pay a copay, right? So that helped. For people who can't afford, who either don't have insurance or if they do, they can't afford the copay because we all know sometimes even what insurance covers and what you have to pony up, sometimes that can still be too much. So I get that.
Yep.
But there are evaluation quizzes that you can take online that are free and that at least give you a starting point,
Hmm.
right? So and I could have just relied on those. I mean, and honestly, if I didn't have insurance that would have covered this, and if it had been cost prohibitive, I would have just relied on one of the quizzes because I took one or maybe two of the quizzes and they both came back with, yeah, you probably do. And I was like, all right, let me read up because I'm a nerd. That's what I do. I read up on stuff.
And the probably do sounds very consistent with the amount of, what did you call it? The low level or
Mild.
uh, mild. Couldn't come
Mm,
up with the right word.
yeah.
The mild level, the
Hmm.
probably do sounds right about
Yeah.
the right testing.
Yeah.
However, I think that if I got a probably do online versus a mild by someone who is educated, the mild might have a lot more weight in what I'm willing to
Yeah.
put into it.
Hmm. Hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so two things that come up for me that I wanted to bring up. Because you talked about your daughter, she would, she'd cry when she thought she had disappointed somebody.
Yeah.
Another aspect of ADHD is something called rejection sensitivity disorder, where the yep, same. If I feel like I have let somebody down, or if somebody is giving me negative feedback or whatever, or somebody is just turning me down, I can take that shit to heart like nobody's business. I am tenderhearted as hell. Just in general, I'm tenderhearted, but then you throw ADHD in the mix and the rejection sensitivity disorder there, and I can be a hot mess. I can be a hot mess. And then you throw in the good girl, I'm the oldest, societal conditioning and all that shit. And it's just like, well, shit, I don't want to disappoint anybody. Damn it. And then I just start crying. So it's
Yeah.
all in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the other thing that I want to bring up is I cannot state enough how important it is for me that I am comfortable, that I feel safe at my current job, because I have been very open with my coworkers about the fact that I was like, something's wrong. I need to get I need to get it. This isn't right.
Hmm.
And I told my boss, I was like, I think I need to get tested for ADHD or something. I said something is not working right. And he and all of everybody else on the team have been so incredibly supportive. And now that I know that I have ADHD and I'm trying to put processes in place, everyone has been so supportive. Every single person, because I feel safe. The fact that I have been able to talk about it at work is because I feel safe there. I have I have had jobs where I would not have even considered having the conversation with a boss. So I know that there are people who are not comfortable having this conversation with their bosses or anybody in their workplace, and I get that. You do not have to tell people any of this. This is your
Hmm.
business. But it helps so much to have that safety in my workplace. But even if I didn't have that safety, just knowing and having that evaluation and knowing that there are ways to work with the way that my brain works, that still would have helped me. So even for people who work in potentially unsafe workspaces, who maybe don't have the insurance and or the money to get the testing, still find a way to do it. Still find a way to do it for you. Or even if you're just like, I don't have the money to figure out how to get the testing, but I want to know, fine, watch stuff on YouTube. There's a plethora of information on YouTube and different websites and things like that. And I'll put in the show notes some of the things that I have gone to that have helped me, that I'm still going to, that I fully expect that I will continue to consult throughout this, because symptoms can change over time, and I'm sure menopause has had an effect on all of this, because the drop in estrogen levels can fuck up a whole bunch of shit. So that's a real thing too. But do what you need to do for you, right? Whoever is listening to this, even if you just watch it, you think, oh, well, that's a good tool just to have in place. I'll try that in my life. Maybe it'll work. Doesn't mean I have ADHD, but it could still be helpful. Fine, fine. Whatever works for you, whatever you need to make your life function better for you, do it. If you try it, it doesn't work, fine. It just didn't work. Try something else. Or if it works for a while and then you're like, oh, this doesn't work anymore, okay, find something else. It's okay. That is one good thing about the internet and being so connected, and having so much information at our fingertips, is that the information is out there. And if you aren't sure who to go to, like, there's
Text Raquel.
yeah, yeah, text me. But literally, I'm gonna put these things in the show notes. There, like, this Dr. Russell Barkley, like, he has been writing and speaking and teaching about ADHD for God only knows how long. There's documentaries, there's YouTube, there's people on Instagram, there's people on TikTok, there's all these things And not everything is going to work for everybody, because everybody's approach is different, because everybody's presentation of ADHD is different. So there we go.
One final question.
Okay.
Where are you going in your future with this?
Pretty much wherever the fuck I want.
Badass.
I know that sounds like I'm being flipped, but
No.
I feel like the sky's the limit. I know that there's ways that I can make this work for me. I think part of this started for me years ago when I had to redefine success for me and not have it be defined by other people's lives, right? Like I said, I feel that I'm successful in that I'm a good person with a good heart who doesn't hurt other people, or at least tries not to hurt other people. Because, I mean, I'm human. I'm sure I've hurt people, but not on purpose. But there's hope for me. There's hope that I can achieve so many things. I can achieve the dreams that I have for the podcast. I can get better with money. I can, there's things. There are things in place that I can avail myself of to make things work better. But
congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big deal.
It is very big. And like I said, I'm very new in this journey. There's going to be a lot of processing as we go through. And I'm sure we'll have more conversations about it. This is where I am. And we'll see where it goes. So thank you for indulging me and letting me talk about this, because this is, I don't know, it feels big for me. And in the same way that hearing other people talk about their diagnosis helped me, and hopefully this is not egotistical, but maybe somebody else listening to this, maybe this will help them. So maybe I can pay it forward and somebody else will hear this and it'll help.
There is no doubt, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.